To say that Marvel Studios has been successful is an understatement. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU as we all know it, is the highest grossing film franchise of all time. And its film, Avengers Endgame, is the highest grossing movie of all time. And needless to say, some great decisions were made to make that happen. I'm Mike with OK Thank You, and here are the 25 best of the best decisions ever made by Marvel Studios. Should have worn my Spider-Man shirt, but technically not MCU.
Did you not bring your Spider-Man shirt?
I didn't.
My God, I could have sworn you were going to do that.
I wore it the other day. It's dirty.
So what?
It's dirty.
So what?
You gotta wash it. Just imagine. We'll fix it in post.
I don't want to fix it in post.
Okay. Putting the films in a shared universe. Before 2008, characters in different film series rarely ever crossed over. This all changed the moment Tony Stark stepped foot into the bar in the post-credits scene of The Incredible Hulk, marking the first of many crossovers in the MCU. This was a brilliant idea, hence it being on this list. Not only is there a great sense of excitement when characters like Doctor Strange show up in movies like Thor, but the decision to make the MCU a shared universe was financially brilliant. The movies themselves are advertisements for future movies. The shared universe was revolutionary and a win-win situation for everyone. Except maybe all the competitors that have since tried and failed to replicate Marvel's success. Here's hoping the Monsterverse continues, though.
Including a Nick Fury cameo in the Iron Man post-credits scene. The post-credits scene in Iron Man introduced not only a great character in Nick Fury, portrayed by Samuel L. Jackson, but also made people realize that this was truly something new. The thought that this film could be leading up to an ensemble Avengers was mind-boggling for 2008. We'd read about the team-ups in the comics, but the idea that this concept could come to life made a lot of people want to come back to see more. Being acquired by Disney. Yeah, I know. There are a lot of down with Disney folks out there, but it all worked out when it came to Marvel. Allowing the sale to go through was a horrible decision on Paramount's part. They now have very few intellectual properties that people are excited for. Suck it, Paramount. And its status as a top-tier film studio may be downgraded soon. Suck it extra, Paramount. They gave up the biggest franchise of all time. On the other hand, Disney made a great investment that propelled the MCU even into more success. Disney knows how to handle franchises, and Marvel knew they'd be in good hands. The mouse also has a huge merchandising strategy and a willingness to take risks. Disney and Marvel both benefited greatly from making this acquisition.
Turning the Thor films into comedies. Norse mythology can be a lot to handle. It's not exactly the recipe for a modern-day blockbuster movie in a crucial time of growth leading into the Avengers. Director Kenneth Branagh decided to include some time on Earth in the first Thor to make the movie more relevant. The concept of someone from a different place trying to fit in is very relatable. Not the only time it'd be done either. See Captain America. But a Norse god fitting into modern-day New Mexico? Chris Hemsworth played up his comedy so well that it balanced out some of the dark, otherworldly aspects of the film. This humorous theme was continued to a large extent by Alan Taylor in The Dark World, and Taika Waititi took things to a whole other level, solidifying the Thor franchise as his own.
Fun fact, Thor Ragnarok is actually such a comedy because Kevin Smith said they should just go ridiculous comedy with it, and
Thanks, Kevin.
And Chris Hemsworth was totally for it, and he got Taika Waititi to do it with him.
Thanks, Kevin Smith. We know you're watching. Recasting the Hulk. It can be confusing and saddening to see an actor be replaced in their franchise, but this change was called for and worked very well. Edward Norton starred in 2008's Incredible Hulk movie for the MCU. However, he was too big for his britches and wanted to make the movie his way. This wasn't going to work in the ensemble films where it's not all about Bruce Banner. Casting Mark Ruffalo was a great decision. He didn't just portray Banner far better than Norton, but he was easy to work with too. Moving forward with Norton would have been a nightmare that Marvel didn't have time to deal with. Sorry if I offended any Edward Norton fans out there. Also, a special note for Rhodey.
Making Loki the villain in the Avengers. Though we'd just seen Loki serve as a major antagonist the prior year, it was very enjoyable to see him attempt to take over the world at Thanos' instruction. Loki is such a complicated, intriguing character, and that makes audiences want to see more. And more of him. And Disney knows this. That's why he's getting a Disney Plus show. Loki deserves a lot of credit, because the Avengers multiplied the successes of the previous movies, and if the villain fell flat, it wouldn't have. We all know Marvel can be touch and go when it comes to villains. Are you,
Really glad I was here.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, are you excited for the Loki, TV series?
I am, absolutely. I love Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, are you a Loki
my
fan?
non-Marvel shirt right here.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Yes, it's tough. Yes, I'm a Loki fan, but I'm one of those who I don't like bad guys.
Right.
So obviously I know they have to be great, so I'm not cheering for him as a character.
But I mean, he's not really, well, the
He's
last
an anti-hero.
time we saw Loki before Endgame, he had pretty much had his redemption arc.
Sort of, yeah, until he stole the Tesseract.
Yes, and then he, sacrificed himself to save his brother. To save Thor. He's like, alright, fine, you can have the Tesseract, just don't hurt Thor.
No.
That's definitely what happened.
Are you talking about the beginning of Endgame?
The beginning of Infinity War.
Sorry, yes, but okay, here's the thing. That's not the Loki we're getting.
Yeah, I know, but I said before Endgame.
Right, but we are now going back in time.
So
the Loki we're seeing is still an asshole.
Yes, I know. I'm just saying that the first Loki had his redemption arc.
But maybe this one won't.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Could be fun.
Yeah.
It'll probably be fun.
So to answer your question, I'm excited.
Oh, very good.
I love Marvel. I'm actually about to rewatch every movie.
Cool.
That's going to be my next little binge marathon thing.
Nice.
Hiring on the Russo brothers as regular directors. The Russo brothers are some of the best directors of the MCU. They started out with Captain America: Winter Soldier and redefined the superhero film. Winter Soldier was actually a political thriller disguised as a superhero film with some of our favorite characters. I like how she's barking that way.
I know, she's a dumb dog.
The Russos went on to handle Captain America: Civil War, as well as the two-part conclusion of the Infinity Saga, Avengers: Infinity War and Avengers: Endgame, which is now the highest-grossing movie of all time, as I mentioned before, as of this recording.
That's true. It'll probably be another Disney or Marvel film.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. Better not be Avatar 2. But wait, Disney owns Avatar, so it'll probably be a Disney film.
Dances with Wolves in Space.
Yeah, and I love Infinity War is probably my favorite MCU film.
I love Infinity War, but I also still love Endgame. I think you gotta watch them together.
Well, again, because you don't like bad guys. I love bad guys.
Well, no, it's a great film.
But the bad guy wins in Infinity War.
Yeah, but I want to watch the whole thing.
Right.
And I don't want to watch just one. I saw Endgame 3 or 4 times in theaters.
All right, I'm gonna let my dog in. I'm sorry if you guys can hear my dog right now. She's blind and deaf and loud. Blind? Yes, she is blind. Well, she's my parents' dog at this point. But
Hi,
yeah.
Ivy. Destroying S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. was what brought the Avengers together in a time of need. The organization was present for a few more movies, but was destroyed in Winter Soldier. At that point, S.H.I.E.L.D. has served its narrative purpose. The Avengers were then a private group, and that worked really well, going into learning of the consequences of their actions. This brought an interesting shift in the MCU, and the personal journeys of the Avengers became more prevalent.
Who the hell are you guys?
Bringing in the Guardians of the Galaxy. This was probably the biggest risk Marvel ever took, and boy did they pull it off. The Guardians weren't very well known in pop culture at the time. The property was also very different than what people thought of Marvel at the time. Because of brilliant marketing and having the Marvel name attached to it, Guardians of the Galaxy was very successful and is still widely loved by the fans, and I'm really upset that I didn't read ahead, or else I would have brought my Star-Lord mask. Helmet. It's really a helmet, it's not just a
You have a
mask.
Star-Lord helmet?
I do.
I thought you only had an Ant-Man one.
I hate you.
That was a scary man.
Shut up.
Scary man!
That was the worst day of my life.
We'll put a picture.
My dad died once.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
Teasing Thanos and the Infinity Stones. If Marvel had just released Infinity War without any prior coverage of Thanos and the Infinity Stones, it would have been a bit confusing, no? The fact that there was a scene in Guardians with Thanos and a scene explaining the Infinity Stones not only made the story clearer, but also started getting everyone hyped up for Infinity War, 4 years before it came out. Should I cut to my sassy Thanos anyways?
Sassy it up.
Yeah, the world deserves to see that.
Sexy Thanos.
Okay.
Leave this all in.
Alright, play the clip. Teasing Thanos and the Infinity Stones. If Marvel had just released Infinity War, what are you laughing at? Yeah, it was dumb. Go up.
It's how you did it. That was the sassiest. You're like,
Yeah.
you gotta be like,
Yeah, I regretted it.
ow!
I regretted it, okay?
That was the sassiest Thanos I've ever seen.
I wish Thanos was that
I
sassy.
feel and he just wipes the galaxy.
If you did it that many times, the galaxy would be destroyed.
Yeah.
He'd probably be
You
destroyed.
gotta be glad Thanos wasn't as sassy as you just put him.
Okay. Choosing Tony Stark to create Ultron. Ultron was chosen to be the villain in the second Avengers movie, Age of Ultron. In the comics, Hank Pym, Ant-Man Sr., created Ultron. However, Pym had not been introduced yet in the MCU. An established character had to be Ultron's creator, and Tony Stark was the best choice. Tony was familiar with artificial intelligence, but he also dealt with a lot of guilt in the MCU. He knew that his actions had killed people in the past. His creation of Ultron added the layers the character needed and further turned Iron Man into a household name.
Tearing the Avengers apart.
Oh no.
If the Avengers had gotten along perfectly for more than 10 years, it would have been much less compelling to watch.
I can't even do that for 3 years with a regular friendship.
Good, okay. Good plots rely on conflict and are more intriguing when they're among friends.
Aw.
The traditional hero/villain dynamic was scrapped in Captain America Civil War, and it made the whole story much more thought-provoking and entertaining.
I remember when they announced this, the audience reaction was huge.
There was a whole, remember we even talked with Luan, are you Iron Man or Captain America side? In a way, Zemo could be seen as the villain, as he was escalating, well, the Civil War. But it had to happen to make the epic conclusion of the main characters in Endgame mean everything that it did.
Civil War was really good.
I gotta watch it again to remember. I think I was Team Iron Man at the time.
Once upon a time, we had 25 reasons that you should go see Civil War. Flashbacks!
Technically, we still have it.
PTSD, I mean.
It's still there. It's still on my computer.
I don't like Civil War.
Screw it, let's release it.
Ah.
Let's release it.
I don't like Civil War.
Just release, what, 5 years later?
Yeah,
40?
screw it, let's release it.
Fine. 25 reasons you should see Captain America Civil War.
And speaking of which,
On the roof!
Hey everyone.
finding a way to bring in Spider-Man.
Right, not wearing my Spider-Man shirt.
That's right, you're
Damn
not.
it!
The MCU was doing great before they started using Spider-Man, but it just didn't feel complete without him. Spider-Man is arguably the most popular Marvel character, maybe even the most popular superhero that there is.
He is, without a doubt.
And he had no prior involvement with the Avengers due to Sony's film rights. Well, an agreement was met, once upon a time. Spidey stayed with Sony for his own films, but he was also allowed to appear within the MCU. Civil War would still have been amazing without Peter Parker, but he added an extra level of hype that propelled the MCU to being even more dominant in the world of pop culture. Be honest, can you think of anyone who wasn't thrilled to death when they found out Spidey was joining the gang? Although, and I want your opinion on this,
Okay.
we could have done without it being spoiled. I understand why it was mentioned, for marketing reasons and everything, but it would have been incredible to see him come out of nowhere by surprise, wouldn't it?
This is why I refuse to watch trailers.
Right.
Because they give a lot
But
of
even
stuff
if you
away.
didn't see trailers, everyone knew that Spidey was joining the MCU.
I know. They should have hid that. I think that's one of the biggest ones. Like, imagine the pop in the theater once he appeared.
Yeah.
If we never know.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Darth Maul's double lightsaber. That should not have been in the trailer. That should have been left for, because you see
Although I
him
gotta
battle.
admit, Darth Maul's double lightsaber came out of nowhere in Civil War. I don't think it really did a lot for the story.
No, it didn't. You know,
It was really unexpected.
It was.
I gotta be honest.
It's true.
I really wasn't expecting Maul to show up.
That's why you don't watch trailers.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't see that in the trailer. So,
Absolutely right.
Spider-Man was my favorite superhero of all time.
Before Danny Phantom.
Making Spider-Man young. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were older when they were in their Spider-Man movies.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Thus, their films lost their youthful edge as time went on. Tom Holland was 19 when he started portraying Parker. While that is still older than the high school age,
Unless you fail.
that's true. He's a failure. He just looks much younger, allowing him to pull off his own fresh take on Teenage Peter. The vibe director John Watts brought to the Holland films was the kind of high school movie atmosphere that was lacking in the previous installments. And that actually does. Before I was so rudely cut off,
By Robin.
my favorite superhero was Spider-Man until
Danny Phantom.
Peter. No! I've never seen a single episode of that. He
What?
is not my favorite.
Oh my god, we had to watch an episode.
Before Peter Quill.
Okay.
Because, and I attribute it to this, as much as I love Spider-Man, now that I'm 34 and Spider-Man's still a teenager,
Right.
I absolutely connect and relate way more to Peter Quill. I've switched Peters.
That sounds...
Wink. Oh, I winked.
Oh, good.
But yeah, no, so I definitely connect with, as much as I love Spider-Man, he's still, now I don't connect with those kids these days and their toys and their stuff. I just don't as much anymore. So
Come on, live-action Spider-Verse. Make it happen. Bring back Andrew Garfield. Bring
they
back Tobey
announced two.
Maguire.
They're like it's like being pushed. They're
Well,
really
yeah.
starting on 2 now.
Yeah, into the Spider-Verse too, the animated one.
I'm
But
just saying.
I'm talking about bring Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, because here's the thing. I do love all of those movies. Yes, even 3, even Amazing Spider-Man 2. I want to be able to watch those movies and know that somehow I'm still in the MCU and they will
I have an
eventually
idea.
make their way in there.
We make a fan Spider-Man film, and
Okay.
then technically we could be like, if they do it live into the Spider-Verse, we're just a different universe, and we can be in it, and we can write to them and be like, guys.
Excellent.
You know, I gotta be honest, Mike.
Huh.
Peter Quill is a really weird way to say Danny Phantom.
He's got
I've
a
never
point.
seen it!
We're watching Danny Phantom after this. Damn.
What?
Yeah.
Developing theme park attractions. This hasn't ever affected the films, but Disney was genius in deciding to include Marvel in their theme parks. Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout has been a wildly successful attraction at Disneyland since it opened in 2017, and even more Marvel rides are to come. So many people will pay hundreds of dollars to come see rides based on the films they love. Disney really knows how to maximize profits and make people happy at the same time. In Before Disney Bad. Unfortunately, sadly enough, the Avengers campus is only going to be at Disneyland.
But we're Florida. We deserve it.
Yeah! We have a better theme park anyway. There's 4 of them.
We have the better Florida.
Yeah. Producing their first film with a black lead. Minority groups have been underrepresented throughout history. It took a long time to stop segregation and give African Americans more representation in pop culture. They still aren't even represented to the ideal extent. Comic books didn't have nearly as many black heroes as they did white, but they did have Black Panther. Some could argue that Black Panther should have paved the way for African American superhero films years ago, but at least it finally released in 2018.
Choosing to set part of Infinity War in Wakanda. Black Panther was huge. It made over $1.3 billion. Marvel didn't know for sure if it would be successful, but they were confident enough to set part of one of their biggest movies ever in T'Challa's land of Wakanda. Sure enough, the huge crowds who saw Black Panther packed the theaters again 2 months later for Infinity War. Disney has good foresight.
I do feel a little bad because he is going to forever have to do this.
Probably.
Like, it's great. It's a great symbol. But there are people who come up to him and he's going to be doing this for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
He
Well,
doesn't have to. He can just punch the person.
Well, don't do that.
one day we'll be stuck with saying, okay, thank you for the rest of our lives.
We already do.
That's true.
That's fine.
This is your life now.
Allowing some lightheartedness between Infinity War and Endgame. These two films were very dark in tone. The future of the universe was being fought for in these movies. While they were great, it was nice to have a bit of a breather with Ant-Man and the Wasp. This movie takes place at the same time as the events of Infinity War, but they didn't know what was going on. While action-packed, there was still a lot of humor set right at the time that Marvel fans needed it. In the post-credits scene, however, we saw what happened to Ant-Man and his friends during the climax of Infinity War. This made us even more pumped, if not slightly unnerved, for the world-changing Endgame. Producing their first film with a female lead. Like African Americans, women were not represented to the extent they should have been in the MCU. Black Widow was a recurring character, but she didn't have her movie of her own. Yet. When Captain Marvel was released in 2019, Marvel fans flocked to see it. It made over $1 billion and took place in the 90s, so it didn't interfere with the Thanos plot. It was another great, lighthearted way to detour from it, while also raising the stakes for the upcoming conclusion. Making Endgame 3 hours long.
A 3-hour tour.
Disney and Marvel like to give the fans what they want. It was time for several of the actors' contracts to end, so they wanted to please the fans with one last movie, packed with as much content, and let's be honest, fan service, as possible. Everything and everyone, including the kitchen sink, were thrown in to make a masterpiece of a finale for the Infinity Saga.
That's my favorite superhero.
The sink?
The kitchen sink.
The kitchen sink. It would have felt very rushed if it had been 2 hours long, so this is a great decision. I don't think that any second was wasted.
No.
No.
Introducing time travel.
Very neat.
When Marvel introduced time travel in Endgame, it gave the MCU another tool to use. This was going to be the end for so many beloved characters. But with this invention, future films have the ability to explore more time with them. A good portion of the movies that come out today are sequels. People like to be nostalgic. So this tactic could keep Marvel fans coming back for years. As if that was going to be a problem.
Fun fact, Alan Silvestri was the composer of Avengers Endgame and Back to the Future.
Wow. Ba, ba, da, ba, ba, ba.
I love that Avengers theme.
He is a great composer. I love his work.
He is pretty damn good.
We know you're watching.
I'm actually surprised that that's not on here.
Back to the Future?
No, Alan Silvestri deserves an entire section about his contribution to the Marvel films.
Marketing Endgame strategically. The marketing campaign for Endgame was executed in a very rare fashion, but it still propelled the film to the throne of highest grossing film. Essentially, bless you. Essentially, the trailers advertised the first 10 minutes of a 3-hour movie. Thankfully, they had plenty of marketing in the form of 22 prior films. All these trailers needed to really do was make sure that everyone knew the release date, and the footage and editing did the rest. No spoilers whatsoever. The trailers didn't even reveal anything on what the movie was actually going to be about. And I still refuse to see them. Refused.
A 3-hour
I'm telling you, I'm done with any movie that I'm really excited about. I don't see the trailers. Because I don't want to do it.
It's probably smart.
Yeah. Producing Disney Plus shows. When Disney started their new streaming platform, it marked a big shift in the entertainment industry. High-profile Disney films would spin off into streaming shows, and Marvel Studios had to be a part of this. Projects like WandaVision and Moon Knight will work much better in the form of Disney Plus series and be on a lower budget. And we are ready to binge them all.
Too bad you won't be able to binge them because that's not what Disney Plus does.
Nah, well, you can wait.
True. Why would you want to do that?
Because I don't want to wait
Also
week to
true.
week. Well, I
It can be fun. It depends on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Clone Wars was better week to week.
Yeah, it was.
I waited in digital. Pushing back Black Widow and subsequent projects. This decision was made during unfortunate circumstances.
Not sure if you've heard.
If you haven't, all right. It may not have been what people wanted, but it had to be done. All of Marvel's projects were delayed because of COVID-19.
That's what we were talking about.
Black Widow was actually supposed to be released in theaters a couple of months ago, but almost all the theaters are still closed.
As of this recording.
Yes. Many wish that Disney would just release the film on Disney+, but they decided to push it back to November. This was for the best, because the quality of any action film is higher on the big screen. People may be impatient now, but in the future, we'll be thankful. And that's actually a good thing for just COVID-19 in general.
Yep. I'm excited for Black Widow.
Yeah, I am too. It's a Marvel film. There's not one...
Yeah.
Star Wars is easy for me to rank my least to not... Really, my least favorite I can rank, and then everything else I have trouble with.
Yes.
But
whatever.
Marvel, it's going to be very difficult for me to pick my very least favorite.
Well, we're gonna do it.
Right now. Well...
I am Iron Man.
Casting Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark.
Do you have your...
No,
shaved.
I'm not Tiny Stark today.
Shaved.
It would have been hard to find someone who believed the casting choice of Robert Downey Jr. was a bad one.
Now.
Yeah, true. Downey's persona fit perfectly with Tony's, and he played the character flawlessly in every movie, capturing the immaturity and selfishness that Tony exhibited toward the beginning, but also making Tony's character progression very evident and heartwarming to watch.
It almost seems insulting slightly to him. Like,
A
you're
little
really
bit.
good at being immature.
It's a little bit, but we love him 3000.
Aw.
The MCU would not be the juggernaut it is today without Robert Downey Jr. Period.
That's true, but again, that just happens with movies.
I guess so, yeah.
People are always like, boo! What a terrible casting choice! Oh man, it was amazing.
Someone said, oh, Heath Ledger is the Joker?
A lot of
Yeah,
people
no,
did.
I don't think
that
so.
guy from Brokeback Mountain? Boo! Although I hate that entire series. So, in your opinion, what's another great decision made by Marvel? Let us know in the comments below, or tweet your answers to us at OkayThankYouYT.
Use the tweet.
And yeah, we know not all of you are Marvel fans.
I
Oh my god. They're among us. Just let people enjoy them.
Robin.
In other news, Bear, our writer for this list, would like to extend his thanks to everyone involved at OK Thank You for giving him the opportunity to write for us. He hopes to write more in the future. Thank you yourself, Bear.
You did awesome. Someone's calling me. Anyways,
Bear!
all of our social...
He's so awesome. He's making this happen.
Bear's a friend of mine, not a fan, guys, so don't, yeah. All of our social media can be found in the description. And don't forget to check us out on Patreon for some okay-ish rewards. Wednesday live streams now come with the ability to call in, like someone's calling me right now, and talk with us directly. Or just
probably
leave a
not one of you
voicemail at 573...
Which they're going to do right now.
575-OKTY, also known as 6589. We will see you there.
What's your favorite Marvel movie?
Yeah!
Let us know in the comments. Let's read that whole thing again.
Tweet the whole thing! Alright, okay, thank you.